Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack compelling sources and really distill the most profound nuggets of knowledge just for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And today we're embarking on a pretty unique journey, I think. One that, well, it spans millennia and cultures. We're talking about the timeless human quest for self-discovery and inner transformation.
A huge topic.
It really is. We've gathered a fascinating stack of sources, everything from ancient scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, to powerful mystical texts like Dark Night of the Soul and the Cloud of Unknowing, right up to modern spiritual insights, from conversations with God and the untethered soul.
A real mix.
Exactly. Our mission today is pretty clear. We want to help you understand how these vastly different traditions see our true nature, identify the obstacles, some subtle, some definitely not on this path, and grasp the profound liberation that awaits when we actually dare to delve beyond the surface of everyday life. Think of this as your shortcut, maybe, to being well-informed about diverse spiritual pathways. We're offering deep insights into what it means to truly understand yourself, find purpose, and connect with a deeper reality.
And what's truly fascinating as we start connecting the dots across these diverse texts is how consistent certain core ideas are. I mean, even across vastly different cultural and historical contexts.
Yeah, despite the centuries between them.
Exactly. Despite the centuries, the distinct origins, this surprising harmony emerges. We'll be digging into concepts like, well, the illusory nature of the conventional self, the absolute necessity of inner purification, the vital role of guidance, which comes up again and again, and that ultimate experience of unity and selfless love. And this journey, it raises an important question for you, our listener. How does this ancient wisdom resonate with your own modern experiences, your understanding? Do you find echoes of these age-old quests in your own life, maybe in moments of quiet reflection, or even during profound challenges?
That's the real question, isn't it? Okay, so if we're talking about a journey of self-discovery, where do we even begin? It sounds like such a grand undertaking.
It does.
But many of our sources suggest the first step is surprisingly simple, yet, well, profoundly challenging. It's about questioning what we think we know about ourselves, challenging the very notion of our conventional identity, almost like looking in a mirror and asking, is that really me?
Yeah, that fundamental questioning. And many traditions suggest that our ordinary perception of self, that distinct person we feel we are, our personality, memories, thoughts, it's actually incomplete or fragmented or even remarkably an illusion.
An illusion, that's strong.
It is. Sam Harris, in Waking Up, is really direct about this. He states unequivocally that the conventional self is an illusion. He challenges that common feeling we have, of there being a singular soul inside your head. He argues it's a mistaken notion.
How does he back that up?
Well, he points to neurological insights. He observed that consciousness itself can be divisible, like you see in studies on split brain patients, which suggests our internal experience isn't as unified as it feels. For Harris, our subjective sense of being unified subjects, the unchanging thinkers of thoughts and experiencers of experience, is an illusion. It's one that simply vanishes when looked for. He suggests our memories, emotions, language, thoughts, impulses, they all rely on distinct processes spread out over the whole of the brain, and crucially, they can be independently interrupted.
Wow. So it's a scientific argument for a fragmented self.
Pretty much. And it contrasts sharply with our everyday feeling of a singular, continuous I.
Okay, that's a radical idea, our self being an illusion backed by brain science. But this isn't just a modern scientific thing, is it? Ancient wisdom often gets to similar places just through different routes.
Exactly. Different lenses, same core insight sometimes. Take Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now. He introduces the concept of the pain body.
Ah, yes, the pain body.
Right. Think of it as this reservoir of old, unaddressed emotional suffering inside us. Almost like a semi-autonomous entity that, if left unchecked, can drive our thoughts and, Tolle argues, even our civilization towards self-destruction.
That sounds pretty bleak.
He describes it as trapped life energy that is split off from your total energy field, becoming autonomous through the unnatural process of mind identification. The path to freedom, Tolle says, is to disidentify from this pain body by becoming the watcher.
Just observing it.
Yeah, but he warns it's tricky. This inner turmoil will try to trick us back into identification, sometimes even showing up as physical aches and pains. But by staying present, staying conscious, becoming, as he puts it, the ever-alert guardian of your inner space, and watching its energy, the pain body cannot control your thinking. And Tolle profoundly concludes that knowing yourself as the being, underneath the thinker, the stillness underneath the mental noise, the love and joy underneath the pain, is freedom, salvation, enlightenment. It's a huge shift, really, from being driven by inner turmoil to observing it.
That is a profound shift.
What's truly striking here is that whether you're looking at ancient spiritual texts or modern neuroscience, the core message is often strikingly similar. The self we typically identify with is powerful, yes, but ultimately it's a limiting construct.
Right.
Recognizing this illusion is often presented as a universal prerequisite for any genuine transformation, regardless of the specific tradition.
And Neil Donald Walsh, in Conversations with God, he gives it a kind of cosmic spin, doesn't he? This idea of forgetting.
He does. He suggests that when we enter the physical universe, we basically relinquished your remembrance of yourself and caused yourself to forget who you really are.
Which sounds like a mistake, but it isn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The crucial insight is that this isn't some cosmic error, but a deliberate act. It allows us to choose to be who we are, rather than just waking up already knowing in a predefined state.
So the forgetting allows for choice.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It makes our job on Earth not to learn, because you already know, but to remember who you are. And he extends this beyond just ourselves, to remember who everyone else is. Meaning, we remind others of their true divine nature, too.
So there's this shared, forgotten truth connecting us all.
That's the implication, yeah. A kind of collective remembering.
That's such a transformative idea, our whole existence as remembering, not acquiring. But what if we don't remember? If we just cling to this false sense of self, the consequences sound pretty dire in some texts.
They can be. Theologia Germanica, that anonymous medieval Christian mystical text, it gives a stark warning about the dangers of this self-identification. It says, "Nothing burneth in hell but self-will."
Wow.
Yeah. "Therefore it hath been said, put off thine own will, and there will be no hell." This self-will, that relentless focus on I, mine, me, is profoundly linked to what the text calls the false light, which it equates with the evil spirit.
The false light.
Right. This false light just seeks whatever is convenient and pleasant to nature, and actively deceiveth others with it, wheresoever it may. And the most insidious part, the text suggests, the core delusion, is believing they're not deceived and that it standeth quite well with them.
So it's a self-perpetuating cycle of delusion.
Exactly. An egoic delusion that stops us from seeing our true nature and finding real peace.
So this deep dive into the illusory self, it really reveals a critical first step on any spiritual path, just being willing to question our most basic assumptions about who we are.
Yeah, it challenges us to look beyond that carefully constructed internal house. Michael Singer describes, the one designed to feel safe and controllable and realize that this very structure can block out the vast, unknown, unpredictable world beyond our ego.
Right.
It encourages critical thinking about where our sense of identity truly comes from, really challenging the foundation of how we see reality.
And what's truly fascinating here is not just what we perceive, but how our minds are actively filtering and interpreting it all the time. They're constructing a reality that keeps us comfortable, maybe, but also limited. It's like our brain is constantly editing the movie of our lives, and we forget it's just one version of the story.
Absolutely.
So how does Michael Singer unpack that for us?
Michael A. Singer, in The Untethered Soul, he illustrates this mental construction brilliantly. He describes how we gradually became accustomed to living safely within the confines of the house, finding it comfortable, enjoyable, and safe.
We like our comfort zones.
We do. And this leads us to stop thinking about the outside altogether, because the inside was familiar, predictable, and within the realm of your control. The outside, conversely, was unknown, unpredictable, and completely out of your control. He explains that our analytical mind then breaks the world up into individual thought objects and tries to put them into a defined relationship just to feel a semblance of control. This carefully built mental model becomes our reality.
It becomes reality.
Yes, leading us to struggle day and night to make the world fit your model, and you label everything that doesn't fit as wrong, bad, or unfair. Our minds create this finite, manageable reality, but in doing that, they also create boundaries and limitations. We end up trapped in our own perceptions.
That sounds exhausting, constantly trying to force reality into our little boxes.
Yeah.
And this idea of mental models limiting us, it's not just modern, right? Robert Pirsig in Zen in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Yes, with Phaedrus.
Right. He explores this through Phaedrus grappling with whether quality is objective or subjective. And he ends up rejecting both, doesn't he? Saying quality is a third entity which is independent of the two.
A really revolutionary idea at the time.
It stemmed from his realization that the whole mind-matter relationship has been an intellectual hang-up for centuries. He suggested that the very categories we use, objective, subjective, can be profoundly limiting. They stop us seeing a deeper truth. By trying to force quality into one box or the other, he was missing its essence. And that led him to this kind of ecstatic revelation where he sings, "Holy, holy, holy, blessed Trinity." It was about recognizing the limits of our labels and letting go of the need to categorize everything.
That's key insight. Our minds, trying to define and control, inadvertently create suffering. Eckhart Tolle, back in The Power of Now, he brings us into sharp focus. He connects negative emotions directly to our focus on time.
How so?
He says, all negativity is caused by an accumulation of psychological time and denial of the present. He neatly categorizes fear-based emotions. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence.
Okay.
And conversely, emotions like guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence.
So our mind jumping between past and future creates this burden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It eclipses the direct experience of the now. The key, he advises, is to bring attention ever more deeply into the now, to know yourself as the being underneath the thinker. That's how you free yourself from the mind's tyranny.
So if our whole concept of reality is largely a mental construct, this story we tell ourselves to feel safe and in control, what's the practical takeaway for us just trying to get through the day?
Well, the deep dive here is really asking us to become deeply aware of that internal storytelling, how it shapes our entire existence.
It's like realizing you're the scriptwriter, director, and lead actor in your own mental movie, and you actually have the power to change the script.
Precisely. And once we begin to truly see those patterns, the illusion of the conventional self, the mind's constant shaping of our limited reality, the next step in so many traditions involves a conscious decision, engaging in inner work.
Right. It's not passive.
Not at all. It's an active, often really arduous pursuit of deeper truth and a profound transformation of our internal landscape. And let's be honest, it's frequently the opposite of comfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine. This journey demands a deep internal shift. Often requires letting go of desires, attachments, the very ego that defines us. It sounds like spiritual decluttering, but way more intense, stripping away what isn't essential to reveal our true selves.
Absolutely. And A Course in Miracles highlights the profound honesty needed here. It urges us to watch carefully and see what it is you are really asking for. Be very honest with yourself in this, for we must hide nothing from each other.
Radical self-honesty.
Yes. And that's presented as the first step toward preparing your mind for the Holy One to enter. The text points out a fundamental difference between the ego's perception and spiritual truth. The ego sees to have and to be as different things.
Okay.
But the Holy Spirit knows that you both have everything and are everything. The very idea of getting something implies you lack it. That's why we make no distinction between having the kingdom of God and being the kingdom of God.
So it shifts from external accumulation to inherent being.
Exactly. The only part of our mind with reality is the part that links you still with God, and the goal is for this to be transformed into a radiant message of God's love.
Yeah.
It's a call to reevaluate our entire value system, moving from perceived lack to inherent wholeness.
That's a powerful statement about what truly matters, really challenges our usual mindset.
Yeah.
And this idea of letting go of self-interest, it echoes in older traditions too, like Theologia Germanica.
Definitely. It unequivocally states that God would fain give man his help and counsel thereunto. For so long as a man is seeking his own good, he doth not seek what is best for him and will never find it.
So seeking your own good prevents finding the highest good.
That's the argument. The text says a person's highest good would be, and truly is, that he should not seek himself nor his own things, nor be his own end in any respect, but should seek only the praise and glory of God and his holy will. This profound detachment is crucial. The text warns, "He who loveth his soul," meaning he who seeketh himself and his own advantage, he shall lose it. Conversely, "He who hateth his soul for my sake shall keep it unto life eternal, by forsaking himself and his own things, and giveth up his own will."
It's a challenging paradox. Letting go of the ego, hating the separate self, is the only way to find eternal life.
It is, and this letting go isn't just abstract. It's about actively dismantling deeply ingrained patterns. Don Miguel Ruiz in The Fifth Agreement calls this the mastery of transformation, which is the process of unlearning what you've already learned.
Unlearning. How?
He explains you learn by making agreements and you unlearn by breaking agreements. Each time we break a limiting agreement, a belief or habit we hold about ourselves or the world, it returns the power of faith that you invested in that agreement.
So breaking agreements frees up energy.
Exactly. This process lets you dismantle the structure of your knowledge, frees your faith, increases your personal power, and makes almost anything as possible. It's an active, conscious engagement with our internal programming, choosing to rewrite the scripts that no longer serve us.
That sounds like a lot of work, but incredibly freeing, like shedding old skin.
It does. And at the heart of this transformation, Eric Fromm argues in The Art of Loving, is a redefined understanding of love itself. He says, to love somebody is not just a strong feeling. It is a decision. It is a judgment. It is a promise.
So love is a choice, not just a feeling.
Precisely. True love, in his view, is volitional rather than emotional, a committed, thoughtful decision, not merely a feeling by which we are overwhelmed. And this provides a solid basis for commitment, unlike fleeting emotions. It's about consciously choosing to love, even when the warm, fuzzy feelings aren't there. This deliberate choice is an act of deep inner transformation.
Okay, so once that intention for inner transformation is set, how do we actually do it? Many traditions offer very practical, though often rigorous, pathways, right? Discipline practices, asceticism, meditation, prayer, tools for inner purification and spiritual strength.
Absolutely. Paramahansa Yogananda's Autobiography of a Yogi gives vivid examples of this. The power of a guru's presence, the necessity of personal discipline. He recounts experiencing a liberating glow whenever I knelt before my guru.
Just from being near them.
Yeah. He discovered that even when his guru, Lahiri Mahasaya, was silent or talking about everyday things, he had transmitted to me ineffable knowledge. Similarly, Sri Yukteswar's mere presence could bring a healing calm, shifting people's mental states. Yogananda also recalls Babaji advising him, "Child, you must meditate more. Your gaze is not yet faultless. You cannot see me hiding behind the sunlight." It emphasizes the need for deeper spiritual vision, cultivated only through consistent practice and inner refinement.
So the guidance isn't just words.
It's an energetic transmission, a call to deeper personal effort.
And sometimes that purification process feels less like a warm glow and more like, well, a trial by fire. St. John of the Cross, the Spanish mystic, describes this intensely in Dark Night of the Soul.
He really does. He talks about a purgation where God turns all this light of theirs into darkness, shuts off the sweet spiritual water, leaving souls in profound dryness.
Wow, dryness.
Yeah, he explains this is God teaching them to walk on their own feet, moving them from an ignoble kind of love to a higher degree of love for Him, freeing them from ignoble exercises of sense and meditation.
So the darkness serves a purpose.
Right. Despite the darkness and spiritual desolation, the soul feels itself to be keenly and sharply wounded in strong divine love and to have a certain realization and foretaste of God. He uses that powerful analogy of a log of wood which gradually becomes transformed through being immersed in fire and at last takes on the fire's own properties. It's this intense, transformative process of spiritual alchemy.
Spiritual alchemy. That truly sounds like a profound period. Saint Teresa of Avila, another Spanish mystic, she uses that metaphor of the interior castle, right?
She does in her book of the same name. She describes the soul as a castle made of a single diamond or a very clear crystal in which there are many rooms, reflecting the many mansions in heaven. For her, prayer is the door of this castle.
And different kinds of prayer lead to different rooms.
Kind of. She describes the prayer of recollection as causing a dilation or enlargement of the soul, like a basin expanding with water. This interior dilation frees the soul from constraints, leading to much more freedom, less fear, replaced by firm confidence in fruition of God.
An expansion within.
Yes, and in deeper states, like raptures, God commands that all the doors of these mansions shall be shut, taking the entire soul to Himself, showing it some little part of the kingdom. It illustrates this progressive opening and expansion through dedicated practice, like exploring rooms in your own inner castle.
These ancient mystics really paint a picture of an intense, disciplined path. The Philokalia, that collection of Eastern Orthodox writings, seems to reinforce this too.
It does. It states that through fulfilling the commandments, the intellect strips itself of the passions. It describes a progressive purification. Through spiritual contemplation of things visible, it casts off impassioned conceptions of such things.
The step-by-step shedding.
Exactly. Then, through knowledge of things invisible, it discards the contemplation of things visible. Finally, it denudes itself even of this through knowledge of the Holy Trinity. The ultimate outcome is when love of God dominates the intellect to freeze it from its bonds, persuading it to rise above not only sensible things, but even this transitory life.
Wow.
The text emphasizes the path of salvation requires complete stillness, the avoidance of all evil, the acquisition of blessings, perfect love towards God, and communion with Him in holiness and righteousness. This mortifying earthly aspects allows the soul to rejoice in contemplation of true goodness.
So this deep dive into disciplined practice reveals it's not passive, it's an active commitment.
Right. Cultivating resilience through rigorous self-purification, often enduring what feels like spiritual abandonment. And this raises an important question for you to consider. How do we endure such trials, these dark nights, these periods of intense self-purification without giving up? What sustained these mystics and what can sustain us?
Yeah, that's a crucial question. It seems counterintuitive, but many spiritual paths teach that challenges, suffering, difficult situations, they aren't just obstacles to avoid. They're essential catalysts for spiritual growth, deeper insight.
Like resistance training for the soul.
Exactly, where the weight of hardship builds inner strength.
Precisely. Viktor Frankl, in Man's Search for Meaning, gives such a powerful perspective on this, drawn from his own horrific experiences in concentration camps. He states that the power beyond your control can take away everything you possess except one thing, your freedom to choose how you respond to something.
That inner freedom.
Yes, it highlights that inherent human capacity for meaning-making, even in the absolute worst circumstances. Frankl observed that even in the most critical moments of his life, one can force his mind to search for such a goal.
Find a purpose.
Right, and he made that crucial distinction about success and happiness, noting they cannot be pursued, it will necessarily happen, and only as a side effect of devotion to a greater purpose than self-interest, or as a result of one's service to others.
So suffering isn't an end, but a crucible.
Exactly. When faced with a chosen attitude and a sense of purpose, it can forge profound meaning.
That reframing is truly profound, moving from feeling like a victim to having agency, even when facing suffering. Pema Chodron, in When Things Fall Apart, she offers a really practical approach to navigating discomfort, doesn't she? Urging us to stay in the middle between indulging and repressing.
Yes, that middle path. It means acknowledging whatever arises without judgment, letting the thoughts simply dissolve, and then returning to the openness of this very moment.
The present moment again.
Always. This freshness of the present moment leads to stopping struggling and relax, and stopping talking to ourselves. She emphasizes that only in an open, non-judgmental space can we acknowledge what we are feeling. And critically, this also allows us to see and hear and feel who others really are, fostering real communication.
And she introduces Tonglen practice too, right? Breathing in pain.
Right. A Tibetan Buddhist meditation involving breathing in others' pain so they can be well and have more space to relax, and open breathing out, sending them relaxation or whatever we feel would bring them relief and happiness. It's about actively engaging with suffering, our own and others, to cultivate compassion.
That's a powerful practice.
It is, and this idea of suffering as a test or opportunity is a recurring theme. Eckhart Tolle, back in The Power of Now, directly addresses this. He says, those challenges are your tests.
Our tests.
He elaborates that they show you and others where you are at as far as your state of consciousness is concerned. He warns that if we can't be present in normal circumstances, we certainly won't be able to stay conscious when something goes wrong, or you are faced with difficult people or situations with loss or the threat of loss.
We get pulled into unconsciousness.
Right. Taken over by a reaction, which ultimately is always some form of fear, and pulled into deep unconsciousness. In relationships, he notes, many of your challenges will come through your partner, where unconsciousness can lead to emotional violence, savage attack, and counterattack. These difficulties, then, aren't random. They're precise indicators of where our inner work needs doing.
It sounds like life's difficulties are really just advanced courses in spiritual growth, pushing us to evolve. The Philokalia also delves into temptation and trials, distinguishing between those we kind of choose and those that just happen to us.
Yeah, that's an interesting distinction. It notes that temptation willingly accepted creates distress in the soul, but clearly produces pleasure in the senses. In contrast, a trial undergone contrary to our wishes produces pleasure in the soul, but distress in the flesh.
Pleasure in the soul from unwanted trials.
That's the idea. The text interprets, lead us not into temptation, as praying that they should reject the onset of temptations that originate from our will. But when St. James advises, regard it as a great joy when various trials befall you, It refers to trials which are contrary to our wishes and produce suffering. These lead to patient endurance and becoming perfect and entire, lacking nothing.
So instead of avoiding pain, we lean into it, seeing it as a gym for our spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This shift in perspective completely changes how we approach life's inevitable ups and downs, viewing them as integral to our transformation.
Okay, so we embark on this inner journey. It's demanding, uncomfortable,
Often, yes.
but we don't always walk alone. Many sources talk about the importance of guidance, but also the challenges, even dangers, of seeking these profound truths. It sounds like a path needing wisdom, discernment, and maybe a lot of humility.
That sums it up well. And the role of a spiritual teacher or mentor is frequently emphasized.
Yeah.
Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography, again, it beautifully illustrates this. That profound, ineffable knowledge transmitted by a guru like the Lahiri Mahasaya, even without explicit religious talk.
Just through presence.
Yes, and he experienced that healing calm just being near Sri Yukteswar. And Babaji's advice to meditate more for a faultless gaze, it underscores the teacher's role in directing and refining the disciple's practice. It's more than just instruction, it's energetic transmission and a call to deeper personal effort.
And the importance of a true teacher, a bona fide spiritual master, that's really clear in the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it?
Very clear. It states that the real spiritual master is Kalsama, who imparts this knowledge. It cautions that one must learn this science of activities from those who are fully in Kalsa's consciousness, otherwise one's life will be misdirected.
Misdirected.
Yeah. Through a bona fide spiritual master, one can understand their spiritual position, their material body, their senses, how they're entrapped. The text even emphasizes the intimacy, calling Arjuna a dear friend of Krishna, highlighting the trust needed to receive confidential knowledge.
So that personal guidance is key in many traditions.
It often is. But what's fascinating here is that while many emphasize that direct personal guidance, others highlight the internal, self-reliant aspect of the quest, or the idea that guidance can come in unexpected forms.
Like in Hesi's Siddhartha.
Exactly. Siddhartha encounters various teachers, including the Buddha himself, but ultimately realizes he has to find his own way. When his friend Govinda chooses the Buddha's path, Siddhartha gently asks, "Won't Govinda for once also take a step by himself, without me, out of his own soul?" And later he finds this profound guide in Vasudeva, the seemingly simple ferryman, who teaches him not through doctrines, but through silence and the wisdom of the river. Siddhartha learns from him that the river has taught me to listen. From it you will learn it as well.
So guidance can be subtle, found anywhere, leading you back to yourself.
Right. It suggests true guidance leads one back to their own inner authority, their capacity for listening.
It seems guidance isn't just instruction then. It's presence, or even showing us how to listen to other teachers, like a river. But with profound guidance comes vulnerability and accepting these difficult, sometimes dark phases. Like the Tibetan Book of the Dead highlights the need for guidance during intense transitions.
Yes, particularly at death, but also during intense inner experiences. It asserts that spiritual teachers of the core lineage and their introduction are crucial for liberation. The text warns, "Child of Buddha nature, your present perceptions can, like a catapult, in an instant, cast you into the most awesome states, either blissful or full of suffering."
Wow, like a catapult.
Yeah. It powerfully underscores the critical need for experienced guidance to navigate these intense inner states and avoid being colored by either attachment or aversion, which can just derail the whole journey.
Okay, so the path is laid out, maybe there's guidance, but it often involves these periods of intense desolation, doubt, purification, the famous dark night of the soul. Definitely not always a straight line to enlightenment.
No, and this phase is indeed one of the most challenging, yet paradoxically often seen as most vital. St. John of the Cross meticulously details this in Dark Night of the Soul. He explains the night of the spirit follows the night of sense, plunging the soul into deep unknowing.
What does that feel like?
He says the soul feels so completely in the dark that they know not whither to go with their sensible imagination and meditation. They find insipidity and bitterness in spiritual things, unable to advance a step in meditation. The soul is unable to raise its affection or its mind to God, neither can it pray to Him, feeling God has set a cloud before it through which its prayer cannot pass.
Utterly cut off. What do you do then?
John of the Cross advises it's no time for the soul to speak with God. It should rather put its mouth in the dust, as Jeremiah says, so that perchance there may come to it some present hope, and it may endure its purgation with patience. He emphasizes God is passively working here in the soul, wherefore the soul can do nothing.
Passively working.
Yes, These purgations are necessary to remove imperfections and perils and stains of the old man that earlier purifications couldn't reach, enabling the purity of divine union. It's a profound stripping away, preparing the soul for deeper communion.
That sounds utterly humbling and disorienting. A real trial by fire. St. Teresa of Avila in her interior castle, she describes something similar, right? An unknowing, even amidst illumination.
She does. She speaks of a secret wisdom of love and deep contemplation that's so simple, so general, and so spiritual that it has not entered into the understanding and wrapped or cloaked in any form or image subject to sense.
So it bypasses the normal understanding.
Exactly. This wisdom remains secret not only in the darknesses and afflictions of purgation, but also in illumination, because the soul cannot speak of it and give it a name whereby it may be called. The soul has no desire to speak of it, but even if it did, it can find no suitable way or manner or similitude by which it may be able to describe such lofty understanding and such delicate spiritual feeling.
A truth beyond words.
Precisely. She suggests true union with God happens in the darkness and in concealment from the enemy, representing a loveliest degree of prayer, attainable only through intimate purgation and detachment and spiritual concealment from all that is creature. It's a truth so profound it defies language, even as it's experienced.
It's a paradox, isn't it? Drawing closer to the divine can feel like utter abandonment, a void where all your old certainties just vanish.
It really is.
Yeah.
But this deep purgation is presented as crucial for a truly profound transformation, moving beyond just intellectual understanding to an experiential knowing that can't be articulated or even fully grasped by the mind. It's a reformation of being itself, stripping away everything non-essential, preparing the soul for a vision beyond duality.
And this sounds like a moment where the deepest truths just can't be held by our usual mental frameworks. We might need a whole new way of seeing or even being, moving beyond those familiar categories of subjective and objective.
Exactly. This challenge to conventional dualistic thinking is a major theme across several sources. Robert Pirsig, in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, vividly describes Friedrich's struggle with that ancient logical construct known as a dilemma. Is quality objective in things or subjective, only in the observer?
And he rejects both.
He does, declaring that quality is neither a part of mind nor is it a part of matter. It is a third entity which is independent of the two. This revolutionary conclusion led him to that ecstatic, holy, holy, holy blessed Trinity, recognizing a unifying principle transcending our usual boxes. He realized the subjectivity-objectivity dilemma was an intellectual hang-up for centuries, being wrongly imposed on quality. This quest for a third entity points toward a non-dual reality where the distinctions we rely on just dissolve.
That's a profound shift, moving beyond either to maybe a both and or even neither nor reality. The cloud of unknowing seems to touch on this too, distinguishing between knowing about God and knowing God through love.
Yes, it distinguishes between a knowledgeable power of the soul to which God is ever more incomprehensible, and a loving power to which, in each one diversely, he is all comprehensible to the full.
Comprehensible through love.
Right. The text explains, a loving soul alone in itself, by virtue of love should comprehend in itself, him that is sufficient to the full, to fill all the souls and angels that ever may be. This is called the endless, marvelous miracle of love. It further notes that reason, blinded by original sin, needs grace to discern good from evil, but emphasizes that divine wisdom does not enter into the understanding enwrapped or cloaked in any form or image subject to sense, highlighting its super-rational, beyond the senses nature.
So true spiritual knowledge operates beyond our ordinary concepts.
That's the recurring idea. The Philokalia offers another angle on this unified perception. It says, he who has succeeded in attaining the virtues and is enriched with spiritual knowledge sees things clearly in their true nature. Such a person, it suggests, both acts and speaks with regard to all things in a manner which is fitting, and he is never deluded.
Never deluded. That's quite a claim.
It implies a perception transcending conventional distinctions, where impassioned conceptions are cast off, and the intellect is detached from form and matter. It's a state where the knower, the known, and knowing itself merge into a seamless whole, leading to unerring action and speech flowing from truth.
And Plotinus, the ancient Neoplatonist philosopher, he gives a philosophical structure for this transcendence, doesn't he? Distinguishing intellect from what generates it.
He does, in the Annals. He describes intellect as not simple but multiple, involved in thinking and seeing the intelligible. But, he posits, the generating principle transcends intellect, existing beyond being simple or multiple in the way intellect is.
So there's something beyond even the highest thought.
Exactly. suggesting a hierarchy where the ultimate reality, the one, is prior and simpler than even the highest intellectual activity. Intellection, he says, sees the intelligible and turns towards it, and is in a way perfected by this. It is itself indefinite like sight, and made definite by the intelligible, implying even profound intellectual knowing is still being perfected by something higher, something beyond itself, pushing us past mental grasping toward direct apprehension.
Okay, so as this journey progresses, inner work takes hold, illusions are shed, perceptions clarified.
Right.
Many accounts then describe experiences of expanded consciousness, profound unity, a direct sense of the divine. This sounds like the goal, the fruit of all that hard inner work, a revelation that just redefines reality.
That's often how it's depicted, yes. The culmination.
So after all that challenging inner work, wrestling with reality, what's the reward? The ultimate aim across traditions often sounds like realizing this inherent connection to the divine, a unity transcending our individual limits, like discovering we were always part of something vast and incredible, the big aha moment.
It's exactly that kind of aha moment.
Hmm.
Michael Singer in The Untethered Soul really articulates this shift in identity. He says, you realize that you're not who you thought you were. You're not even a human being. You just happen to be watching one.
Wow, just watching.
Yeah. He describes having deep intuitive experiences of the true nature of self, where you find yourself tremendously expansive. This expansion happens because consciousness only appears small and limited because you're focusing on small, limited objects. By pulling back, you can see everything, moving from the finite to the infinite. Singer posits this profound realization is what Christ, Buddha, and the great saints and sages of all time and all religions have been trying to convey.
Yeah.
It's an inner revelation that redefines your entire sense of self and relationship to reality.
And this sense of innate connection, it's deep in mystical texts, too. The Cloud of Unknowing talks about God being even meet to our soul by measuring of his Godhead, and our soul even meet unto him by worthiness of our creation to his image and to his likeness.
A perfect fit, almost.
Yeah, like a spiritual symmetry. The text says, God by himself without more, and none but he is sufficient to the full, to fulfill the will and the desire of our soul. And through grace, our soul is made sufficient to the full to comprehend all him by love.
Comprehending through love, not intellect.
Right. It emphasizes this intimate, reciprocal relationship where the soul's capacity for love lets it fully encompass the incomprehensible divine.
And this inherent divine presence isn't just in the soul, but throughout all existence. The Upanishads, those ancient Hindu texts, articulate this beautifully. They convey the sense that the world of ultimate reality and the world as we know it are both ultimately of the same nature and infinite.
The infinite in the finite.
Exactly. The phrase all this, saramidam, meaning the universe living beings must be, Lord, indwelt by, worn as clothing by, pervaded by the divine. It suggests an intrinsic divine presence everywhere. The text highlights this unity is illuminated by knowledge, prajanetra, or having knowledge as eye, meaning wisdom is the lens through which this ultimate reality is seen.
And what's striking is how these abstract ideas can manifest as incredibly vivid personal experiences. William James, in The Varieties of Religious Experience, he recounts some powerful conversion stories.
He does. Real felt experiences.
One describes a strange light which seemed to light up the whole room, a conscious supreme bliss which caused me to repeat glory to God for a long time. Another involves something sweeping into me and inflating my entire being, such a sensation as I had never experienced before, followed by being conducted around a large, well-lighted room with the thought, they are not here, they are gone, attributed to the Holy Spirit.
Intense stuff.
And he mentions a vision too intense for the eyes, like that light that prostrated Paul on the way to Damascus. It suggests a direct, overwhelming encounter with divine presence, a glimpse into the sacred's vastness.
So what does this all mean for us? It suggests these profound experiences aren't just for a select few, maybe. They're potential within each of us, a call to expand beyond our perceived limits and tap into a deeper reality that's both within and all around us.
The ultimate unveiling, where the seeker realizes they were always the sought.
Beautifully put.
And as this expanded consciousness takes root, the understanding of God, or absolute truth, also deepens, right? Moving beyond conventional descriptions to something more profound, non-dualistic. It's a shift from thinking about God to experiencing the ultimate nature of reality.
Yes, exactly. The Bhagavad Gita offers a very clear articulation of this ultimate truth. It states that Kana is the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. It emphasizes a state of non-duality in consciousness, where all that exists is a product of Kenny's energy and Kenny is all good.
And this leads to peace.
Yes, unadulterated peace for the steadily devoted soul. It explains the material world is just a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. Even the Brahma Jyotir, that impersonal spiritual light some aim for, or the Paramatma manifestation, the omnipresent supersoul, are described as aspects or energies of Kena himself.
So Cana encompasses everything.
Right. The text says Kantoan is full in 6 opulences: strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, renunciation. And crucially, it highlights that this ultimate goal, Vivi, can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service and not by mental speculation or argument, pointing to direct experience over intellectual abstraction.
That move beyond intellectual abstraction seems key. Theologia Germanica describes the perfect good as being above all good, with all good things being of one substance in the one good. And it strikingly declares that in true light and true love there neither is nor can remain any I, me, mine, thou, thine, and the like.
The dissolution of the ego.
Completely. The text says the man's end and aim is not this or that, me or thee, but only the one who is neither I nor thou, this nor that, but is above all I and thou, this and that. It even states God loveth not himself as himself, but loves the one perfect goodness.
Love for goodness itself, not a self-referential deity.
Yeah. This radical non-duality suggests a reality where concepts like self and other, subject and object just cease to apply.
It's a complete reordering of how we understand existence. Plotinus, in the Enneads, offers a philosophical angle on this, distinguishing between intellect, which is multiple, thinks, sees the intelligible, and that which generates it.
Which transcends intellect.
Right. Existing beyond simple or multiple in the way intellect is. It suggests a hierarchy where the ultimate source, the one, is prior and simpler than even the highest intellectual activity. Intellection, he says, sees the intelligible, turns towards it, is perfected by it. It's indefinite like sight and made definite by the intelligible, implying even profound knowing is still being perfected by something higher, pushing us beyond mental grasping to direct apprehension.
But this transcendence doesn't always lead to a simple, undifferentiated oneness, does it? The Philokalia, for instance, talks about God being one, yet also a trinity.
Yes, it presents that complex understanding. It asserts God is one because there is one divinity. Unoriginate, simple, beyond being, without parts, indivisible. Yet it immediately clarifies this divinity is both unity and trinity, Holy One and Holy Three.
Holy One and Holy Three.
It elaborates. Holy One in respect of the essence, Holy Three in respect of the hypostases or persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. The text really emphasizes the complete mutual indwelling, stating the whole divinity is in the whole Father, and the whole Father is in the whole divinity, and similarly for Son and Spirit, ensuring the divinity is not partially in the Father, nor is the Father part of God.
Wow. That's a sophisticated theology trying to hold unity and multiplicity together.
It is a unity embracing multiplicity without contradiction.
This is where it gets really interesting, isn't it? If ultimate reality transcends our limited categories, our deepest intellectual frameworks, how do we possibly integrate that kind of understanding into our everyday lives?
That's the crucial next step. This revelation has to reshape our actions, our engagement with the world. How does this transformative knowledge translate into how we live?
Right. Having glimpsed these profound truths, expanded consciousness, understood a deeper reality, the challenge is living them out. Our sources don't just stop at revelation. They guide us on how to embody these principles in our actions, relationships, service, bringing heaven to earth maybe, or realizing it was always here.
And this transformed life often begins with a profound re-understanding of love. Not just an emotion, but a conscious decision, a commitment to spiritual growth, unconditional acceptance, extending to everyone.
Like Erich Fromm talks about in The Art of Loving.
Exactly. He makes that critical distinction. Erotic love is exclusive in terms of erotic fusion, full commitment, but not in the sense of deep brotherly love. He argues love should be essentially an act of will, of decision to commit my life completely to that of one other person.
Love is an act of will.
Yes. This volitional aspect provides the basis for the promise to love each other forever, unlike fleeting feelings. From further asserts, if I love from the essence of my being and experience the other person in the essence of his or her being, in essence, all human beings are identical. We are all part of one. We are one. This foundational unity is what enables love to be a deliberate act, recognizing the shared essence in all.
That's a challenging but deeply empowering view of love. M. Scott Peck in The Road Less Traveled, he builds on this too, doesn't he? Defining love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own and another's spiritual growth.
He does, clarifying that genuine love is volitional rather than emotional, meaning the person who truly loves does so because of a decision to love. This commitment means being loving whether or not the loving feeling is present.
Even when you don't feel loving.
Right, and he acknowledges it's possible but necessary for a loving person to avoid acting on feelings of love if it would be destructive to other commitments, like a marriage. This highlights that true love requires thoughtful choice, discerning application. It's not just a free-for-all of emotion.
It requires wisdom.
Yes, and this commitment to universal love, regardless of circumstance, is seen as a hallmark of spiritual maturity. Theologia Germanica describes a truly godlike man, possessing pure and unmixed love, full of kindness, so he cannot but love in sincerity all men and things, and wish well and do good to them, and rejoice in their welfare.
Unconditional love.
So profound that even if wronged, such a person could not but love the very man who had so often slain him, mirroring Christ's forgiveness. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This capacity stems from being pure, simple goodness, which cannot will or desire or rejoice in or do or give anything but goodness. It transcends personal offense, operating from a divine wellspring.
And what's fascinating here is how this love extends to a profound interconnectedness, where another spiritual state directly impacts our own. A Course in Miracles illustrates this beautifully, stating, "Your brother's holiness is sacrament and benediction unto you."
Wow.
Yeah. It suggests his errors cannot withhold God's blessing from himself, nor you who see him truly. In fact, his mistakes can cause delay, which it is giving you to take from him, that both may end a journey that has never begun. It frames your brother as the mirror of yourself, wherein you see the judgment you have laid on both of you, and the Christ in you beholds his holiness.
That completely collapses separation.
Right. Love isn't just external, it's an internal recognition of shared divinity. Helping another helps yourself.
So this moves beyond passive feeling to an active, conscious choice that transforms our relationships, our impact, recognizing inherent divinity in all. It's a love both deeply personal and universally expansive, a deliberate decision to see and honor the essence of being in everyone.
Okay, so having integrated this conscious volitional love, the transformed individual is then called to a life of profound responsibility, right? Contributing to the greater good, living ethically, even when it challenges norms or personal convenience.
Absolutely. And Neil Donald Walsh, in Conversations with God, presents a pretty radical notion of societal responsibility. He states, people have a right to basic survival, even if they do nothing. Even if they contribute nothing.
Even if they contribute nothing, that challenges a lot of assumptions.
It does. He emphasizes survival with dignity is one of the basic rights of life, and it's not yours to judge what is a life wasted. He gives that example of someone thinking of poetry for 70 years to produce a single sonnet which opens a door for thousands. Is that wasted?
Good point.
Enlightened ones, he suggests, view non-contributors with great compassion, not resentment, recognizing they're missing the greatest opportunity to create and the glory of experiencing the highest idea of who they really are.
Compassion, not judgment.
Right. And he proposes a system for enlightened societies, where a portion of income is used for the general good, with some distributed by a world federation, ensuring everyone has equal opportunity to acquire knowledge, develop skills, and use his or her natural talents. It really challenges us to reconsider individual worth and societal obligation, prioritizing collective well-being.
That's a truly revolutionary vision for society built on compassion. And Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German theologian and resistor, in The Cost of Discipleship, he embodies this ethical commitment even facing extreme adversity.
He really does. He powerfully states, if we claim to be Christians, there's no room for expediency. This principle guided his actions against the Nazi regime, even when others hesitated. He undertook incredibly dangerous tasks, like informing the British government about the German resistance, showing steadfastness of mind and preparedness to sacrifice everything.
Incredible courage.
For Bonhoeffer, the cross of Christ is a death full of grace, calling believers to a daily dying in the power of Christ's death. It illustrates a profound commitment to living one's convictions regardless of the cost, a radical ethics born from faith.
And this ethical living isn't just about grand gestures, is it? It extends to daily self-governance. Like Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher.
Yes, in the Meditations, he consistently emphasizes benevolence and sociability as fundamental. He describes the Stoic rational soul as a part of the divinity, ever pervaded and inspired by it to all moral good, when the lower passions are restrained.
Restraining the lower passions.
Right. And he advises restraint from the desire for fame, esteem, and popular applause, advocating for an internal focus, virtue for its own sake, not external validation. This points to an ethical framework rooted in one's divine nature and cultivated through consistent self-mastery, a quiet strength shaping one's actions.
It's a powerful call, then. Aligning our individual actions with a collective vision of goodness, prioritizing compassion over judgment, living with integrity, even when it demands radical choices, or just quiet, disciplined effort, embodying our deepest truths in the world.
Exactly. Which brings us to a crucial question.
Yeah.
Once transformed, how does an individual actually engage with the material world? Different traditions offer varying perspectives here. Active participation versus inner detachment. It's not always about abandoning society, but fundamentally changing how we relate to it.
The Bhagavad Gita offers a nuanced take on this, doesn't it? Describing a cat-conscious person who does not make much endeavor even to maintain his body. He is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord.
Contentment with what comes.
Right. He neither begs nor borrows, but labors honestly as far as is in his power, remaining independent in his livelihood. He doesn't let external service hamper his own service in cat consciousness.
Oh,
However,
that's the caveat.
exactly. For the service of the Lord, he can participate in any kind of action without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. He's steady both in success and in failure, attaining peace by offering the result of all activities to the divine, being attached to kin rather than the results.
So non-attachment to outcomes, even while acting diligently. Detached engagement.
Precisely. And this balance between action and non-attachment, it's beautifully shown in Hesi Siddhartha. His journey involves cycles of engagement and withdrawal.
Right, the merchant phase, then the ferryman.
Yeah. At Kamala's urging, he enters the world of trade, becomes rich and elegant, yet he sees it as a game, the contents of which did not touch his heart. He eventually simplifies, becomes a ferryman, always seeking deeper understanding beyond material gain.
The form changes, the inner state remains.
Exactly. His enlightenment experience leads him to realize nothing was, nothing will be, everything is. He sees his life, all lives, as a river, constantly flowing, reaching goals, with joy and suffering intertwined. Suggesting the form of engagement might change, but that inner non-attachment, that knowing, stays constant.
And this conscious choice for a simpler, more deliberate life, detached from societal pressure, is so eloquently put by Henry David Thoreau in Walden.
Ah, Walden.
Thoreau describes his life there, focusing on husbandry, not for the beans, but for the sake of tropes and expression, to serve a parable maker one day. He consciously chose simplicity, doing without tea, nor coffee, nor butter, nor milk, nor fresh meat, so he didn't need to work hard to pay for them.
A critique of unnecessary labor.
Definitely. He views his approach as the only true America, where you are at liberty to pursue such a mode of life as may enable you to do without these. His experiment is a powerful critique of societal expectations, advocating for a deliberate, conscious life aligned with deeper values, not external demands.
This highlights that subtle but profound difference between physical detachment and internal non-attachment, doesn't it?
It really does. It's not necessarily about withdrawing from the world entirely, but about fundamentally changing your relationship to it. Engaging with purpose, yes, but without being bound by its illusions or outcomes. And this raises an important question for you to ponder. What then is the highest form of spiritual achievement, if it seems to encompass both deep inner realization and compassionate, effective action in the world?
We've certainly journeyed through incredibly diverse landscapes of thought today, from ancient scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita Upanishads to mystics like St. John of the Cross, the cloud of unknowing, and modern perspectives like conversations with God, waking up, the untethered soul.
Like the tour.
It really was. And what stands out across all these traditions is how consistently they point inward, to an inner quest, a turning away from that superficial self-perception toward a deeper, more unified reality that often feels both vast and somehow intimately familiar. It's a journey not just of understanding, but of becoming.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, the profound insight cutting across all these traditions seems to be that true self-discovery isn't really about finding something new, but about remembering what we already are.
Remembering.
Exactly. It's like challenging spiritual archaeology, not acquisition, where shedding false notions and embracing discomfort are the tools used to unearth the love and purpose that's been waiting under the surface all along. The wisdom from these sources offers you not just understanding, but really a profound invitation to engage with your own spiritual quest, whatever form that might take in your life.
So what does this all mean for you personally, listening right now? Maybe consider this. If the conventional self is truly an illusion, as Sam Harris suggests, and the journey of transformation involves consciously choosing love and purpose over fear and self-will, what is one agreement, as Don Miguel Ruiz puts it, that you could break today? One agreement to begin unlearning a limiting belief about yourself. And perhaps, what small intentional step could you take to remember a deeper truth about who you really are? Just let that thought sit with you.